Harrison Ford has spent his life outrunning boulders, battling villains, and captaining galaxies. But when it comes to love, he's always played the role of the quiet mystery. For decades, the man behind Indiana Jones and Han Solo kept his heart guarded, leaving fans guessing what really went on behind the scenes of his marriages. But now, the 82-year-old star is finally sharing what really shaped his marriages, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, and the moment he realized what true love actually requires. His recent confession about staying in love after 15 years with Calista Flockhart reveals a side of Ford we've rarely seen, and it just might change the way fans see him forever. Harrison Ford was born on July 13, 1942, in Chicago, Illinois, to parents who already had one foot in show business. His mother, Dorothy, had been a radio actress, and his father, John William Christopher Ford, was a former actor turned advertising executive. Their creative backgrounds gave Harrison an early connection to the entertainment world. His heritage was a blend of cultures. His mother was Ashkenazi Jewish from a family that immigrated from Minsk, while his father came from Irish Catholic roots. When asked about his religious upbringing, Ford once joked, "Democrat," a reflection of his parents' focus on open-mindedness rather than strict faith. As a boy, he was active in the Boy Scouts, eventually earning the rank of Life Scout, an experience that would later inspire the young Indiana Jones character. He also worked as a reptile counselor at a scout camp, a small detail that captured his lifelong love of nature and animals. Ford attended Maine East High School, where he became the voice of the school's brand-new radio station and its first sportscaster. His interest in performing deepened in college at Ripon College in Wisconsin. Majoring in philosophy, he took a drama class in his senior year to overcome shyness, only to discover a passion for acting. He later joked that he was a late bloomer, but the stage had hooked him. In 1964, after a summer with the Belfry Players in Wisconsin, Ford made a bold move. He headed to Los Angeles to try his luck. Columbia Pictures soon signed him to a small talent contract, and his first on-screen appearance was as a silent bellhop in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round, 1966. His dry humor showed early. After a producer compared him unfavorably to Tony Curtis, Ford shot back that Curtis wouldn't know how to play a bellboy either. The joke didn't help his contract, but it captured his spirit. Ford spent the next few years taking small roles in films like Journey to Shiloh, 1968, Getting Straight, 1970, and the breakout hit American Graffiti, 1973. That film introduced him to George Lucas, who would change everything. In 1977, Lucas cast him as Han Solo in Star Wars, and Ford's roguish charm turned the character into an instant icon. He played Han in 4 more films across the next 4 decades. Then came Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981, where Ford debuted as Indiana Jones. The Spielberg-directed adventure exploded in popularity, and Ford returned for 4 sequels, cementing both Han Solo and Indiana Jones as 2 of the most beloved characters in film history. Ford didn't stop with Han Solo and Indiana Jones. In 1982, he stepped into the role of Rick Deckard in Blade Runner, delivering a dark, unforgettable performance that later carried into Blade Runner 2049. Outside his blockbuster franchises, he took on roles that show just how wide his range really was. His turn as Detective John Book in Witness, 1985, earned him an Academy Award nomination, and he followed it with memorable performances in The Fugitive, 1993, Air Force One, 1997, and even later in The Call of the Wild, 2020. More recently, he surprised audiences with strong television work in the Western drama 1923 and the Apple TV Plus comedy Shrinking, proving he could still reinvent himself after decades in the industry. Away from acting, Ford built an entirely different reputation as a licensed pilot who has assisted emergency services and helped rescue stranded hikers near his Wyoming ranch. His long-standing environmental activism is equally notable. He has served as vice chair of Conservation International since 1991, speaking globally about climate and conservation issues. But while his career thrived, his personal life drew its own spotlight. Ford has been divorced twice and has had a few well-known romances, beginning with his first great love. Before Hollywood knew his name, Harrison Ford was just a young man from Illinois dating his high school sweetheart, Mary Marquardt. Mary, a gifted illustrator and chef, shared Ford's early struggles and ambitions. They married in 1964, long before fame found him, and welcomed two sons, Ben in 1966 and Willard in 1969. Mary supported Ford as he took small, uncertain roles and tried to build a career, while she pursued her own work in the culinary arts. Everything changed in 1977. The moment Star Wars exploded and Ford became Han Solo, life shifted overnight. Fame transformed his career, but it also brought complications that would ultimately reshape his personal life. Rumors eventually surfaced that Mary ended the marriage after discovering Ford had grown close to his Star Wars co-star Carrie Fisher. Whatever the true cause, by 1979, their 15-year marriage had come to an end, and Ford's life entered a new, very public chapter. Mary chose to stay out of the spotlight, raising their sons Ben and Willard, who later built successful careers of their own, one as a restaurateur and the other as an entrepreneur. Ford moved forward too, but it would be years before he found a relationship with real staying power. Ford met his second wife, screenwriter Melissa Mathison, back in 1976 while filming Apocalypse Now. At the time, she was a young production assistant, beginning to find her footing as a writer. Their connection was immediate, but the romance didn't begin until 1982, after Ford's divorce. By then, Matheson was earning acclaim for her work, especially for writing E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which earned her an Oscar nomination. They married in 1983 and welcomed two children together, Malcolm, who later became the frontman of the band The Dudes, and Georgia, who followed her father into acting. Ford stood firmly by Georgia after she was diagnosed with epilepsy, even auctioning off his Han Solo jacket to raise money for research. Despite years of shared success, their relationship began to crack around 2000. They separated, reconciled briefly, and ultimately divorced in 2004. Without a prenup, the settlement was enormous. Matheson received $85 million plus a share of Ford's earnings from films made during their marriage, including Indiana Jones and The Fugitive. Matheson's death in 2015 from neuroendocrine cancer was a painful loss for Ford and for those who admired her. Steven Spielberg, remembering their first meeting in the Tunisian desert during Raiders of the Lost Ark, said she appeared like a mirage, an egret, a quiet tribute to the gentle spirit she carried throughout her life. Fans fell in love with Han Solo and Princess Leia on screen, but few knew how much real emotion was simmering behind the cameras. In 1977, while filming Star Wars, 19-year-old Carrie Fisher and 33-year-old Harrison Ford began a secret 3-month affair. Ford was married with 2 children at the time, and Fisher was still new to Hollywood. Their relationship stayed hidden for decades, until Fisher revealed it in her memoir, The Princess Diarist, published shortly before her death. Fisher admitted she was stunned when Ford showed interest. The connection was intense, blurring into their characters' chemistry. She later described it as Han and Leia during the week, Carrie and Harrison on the weekends, and confessed she briefly hoped he might leave his wife. But she soon understood their romance had no future. What she once called a 3-month one-night stand ended quietly as filming wrapped, and though Ford later separated from his wife, he and Fisher never returned to their affair during later Star Wars projects. Ford has never publicly commented on the relationship, while Fisher moved on, marrying Paul Simon and later welcoming her daughter, Billie Lourd. As Ford's personal life shifted, he focused on raising his children. Ben built a career as a chef and co-owns Ford's filling station at LAX, a nod to the culinary influence of his mother, Mary. Willard pursued business and fashion, previously running a gym and theater before founding the Ludwig clothing brand. Ford's children with Melissa Matheson followed creative paths as well. Malcolm found his place in music with his band The Dudes, and Georgia stepped into acting. After her epilepsy diagnosis, Ford became a vocal advocate for research, deepening their bond. And soon, another chapter in Ford's complicated love life began, when he crossed paths with actress Calista Flockhart. Harrison Ford and Calista Flockhart's love story began in 2002, a pairing no one saw coming, but one that quickly proved to be the perfect match. They first crossed paths at the 59th Golden Globe Awards, where the chemistry between them was obvious, even to James Marsden, who jokingly played third wheel that night. From that moment, their connection grew, surprising fans who didn't expect Ford, then 60, to fall so deeply for a woman 22 years younger. Their relationship blossomed over the next few months, with one of their first major outings being the Venice Film Festival for the premiere of K-19, The Widowmaker. They soon bonded over Ford's biggest passion, flying. Though Flockhart once feared small planes, she later admitted that flying with Ford felt completely natural. "I really trust Harrison," she said, explaining that watching him in the cockpit made her feel safe. It became one of their shared adventures, strengthening their relationship. Ford also developed a close bond with Flockhart's son, Liam, whom she had adopted the year before they met. Ford quickly stepped into a fatherly role, joining them for family outings and volunteering together during the holidays. He often praised Flockhart as an extraordinary mother and said being part of a young child's life again brought him joy. In 2009, 7 years into their relationship, Ford proposed during a quiet family trip. They married the following year in a small ceremony in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with Liam by their side. Over the years, the three of them built a close-knit family, balancing Hollywood commitments with the peaceful life they share on Ford's Wyoming ranch. Their bond has only deepened with time. Even now, they continue to appear publicly together, most memorably at Cannes, where fans noticed Ford looking at Flockhart with unmistakable affection. Ford and Flockhart didn't rush into marriage. After 8 years together, they chose a quiet, unconventional setting for their wedding, on location in New Mexico while Ford was filming Cowboys and Aliens. It was simple, intimate, and very them. The ceremony was officiated by their friend, Governor Bill Richardson, with only his wife and advisor, and their 9-year-old son Liam in attendance. Even Jon Favreau, the film's director, had no idea Ford was getting married until afterward. He joked about the surprise and gifted Ford a fondue set as a quirky present. Their low-key celebration reflected the couple's preference for privacy over Hollywood spectacle. One of the defining parts of their relationship has been Flockhart's steady support for Ford's lifelong passion for flying. Though she was nervous about small planes before meeting him, she quickly grew to love flying because she trusted him completely. For Ford, sharing the cockpit with someone who genuinely enjoyed the experience made it even better, and flying became a cherished activity for the couple and young Liam. But in 2015, that shared passion led to a frightening moment when Ford's vintage World War II plane crash-landed on a golf course, leaving him seriously injured. Flockhart rushed to the hospital and stayed by his side through his recovery. Despite the scare, she never asked him to stop flying. Just months later, she publicly said she was 100% behind him, explaining simply, "He loves it, so I love it." Their red carpet moments have also revealed the depth of their bond. At Cannes in 2023, the festival accidentally seated them apart, creating an awkward moment during Ford's standing ovation. He laughed it off, but at the Los Angeles premiere, he made sure everyone knew how much she meant to him. In a rare emotional speech, Ford said, "My life has been enabled by my lovely wife. You've given my life purpose and meaning." Their marriage may be unconventional in many ways, but it is grounded in trust, support, and a quiet devotion that has only strengthened over the years. In recent years, Harrison Ford has balanced work with well-earned downtime, often with Callista Flockhart right by his side. Even at 80, he shows no signs of slowing down. His return as Indiana Jones in The Dial of Destiny drew nostalgic fans back to theaters, and at the Cannes premiere, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award and a long-standing ovation that left him visibly emotional. Having Flockhart there for that moment made it all the more meaningful for him. Ford has also embraced television, taking on roles in the Yellowstone prequel 1923 and the Apple TV Plus comedy Shrinking. Viewers have praised his unexpected comedic turn, and Ford himself has described this new chapter as invigorating. Through all of it, Flockhart has remained a steady presence, appearing at key premieres and supporting his continued drive to try new things. Fans have noticed how connected the couple seems during public appearances, especially when Ford is caught giving Flockhart warm, appreciative looks. Their 22-year age difference has never overshadowed their bond, which Ford often describes with humor and gratitude. Outside of acting, Ford has leaned further into environmental activism, a cause he's been passionate about for decades. Living part-time on his Wyoming ranch, he's continued working with Conservation International, and Flockhart frequently joins him at events that reflect their shared values. Together, they've settled into a life that balances passion, purpose, and companionship. One that feels grounded despite Ford's legendary career. What do you think of their relationship and how it has evolved over the years? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell for more fascinating stories.